Hawaiian food draws influences from Asia, North, and South America, but comfort food is a universal language. Coming up, we'll make the Hawaiian classics of Loco Moco and Ahi Poke, two simple dishes native to Hawaii that definitely deserve to be served on island and off island alike. We'll start by making our poke, which, by the way, just refers to the Hawaiian word for to cut things or cut into pieces, which is really all it is. It's basically a form of sushi with a light marinade. We're going to put in a couple tablespoons of freshly minced chives, a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of tamari or soy sauce, and a tablespoon of sriracha or sambal. That's optional. If you don't want the heat, leave it out. I'm also going to shake in a couple teaspoons of tuxedo sesame seeds. Give all that a stir, and then we'll move on to our fish. I'm using a really good quality yellowfin tuna here. Make sure you're sourcing this from a place that you know and trust to have good, fresh quality fish. Go ahead and we're going to chop this up into little bite-sized pieces. I do want to add that you definitely want to get like belly cut or center cut tuna. If you do happen to get any pieces with a little fat or a little bit of the sinew in them, just set those aside and toss them. They're not going to be good to eat raw. As you can see, we're just going to give this a nice dice here, about 1 centimeter chunks. Once we've completed that, go ahead and get all of your tuna into the marinade. Give everything a stir so that it is thoroughly combined, and then you want to go ahead and pop this in the fridge for at least 30 minutes to let all the flavors get to know each other, but it will last for up to 2 days covered tightly. Next up, we're going to make our Loco Moco. We're going to start with some 80/20 ground beef. We do want the fat content because we're going to utilize that to make our onion gravy. And I'm just using this little ring mold here to help me form the patties into nice round shapes here so that it's more aesthetically pleasing on the plate. Then I'm going to go back with my palm and just flatten it out a little bit after the fact. I love using the parchment paper underneath these because I can stack them up as I'm working on them and not have to worry about getting plates and counters and whatnot dirty. It also helps to release the meat very easily into the pan when we go to cook them. So I'm making 1/3 pound patties here, but you can make them larger or smaller to your heart's content. Just going to go ahead and pound out a couple more of these and we can proceed to cook. I'm going down into a skillet over medium heat with all 3 of my patties, and as you can see, I'm just going to give them a little light press right when I put them into the skillet, so that they make very good contact and get nice and brown, but also to indent that center so that it does not form a large bulging hockey puck as it cooks. Of course, we'll want to season these with salt and pepper. You could use some garlic powder or onion powder too, but I'm keeping it simple today. Once they've got a nice crust and are about halfway cooked, we're going to give them a flip. You can see all that beautiful fat and fond in the pan. It's going to make for a lovely gravy. Once they are cooked through to your liking, go ahead and get them out of the skillet, but leave it over medium-high heat and leave all that fat in there. And we're going to add 1 small white onion, about half a cup, and go ahead and cook this out for 4 to 5 minutes until it starts to soften and go slightly translucent. Once we're there, we should have about 2 tablespoons worth of fat in the skillet, but if you need to add more, go ahead. To that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to make our roux. Stir that flour in until it just starts to smell nutty and it is completely dissolved into the butter. And at this point, we can add in 1.5 cups of a good quality beef stock or broth. This is when you're going to go in and really get all those little brown bits off the bottom of your skillet. I mean, you can just smell the flavor coming off the bottom of that pan. It's going to make for a totally rich gravy. We're going to fortify it with another little splash of soy sauce there. That was about a tablespoon. Taste for seasoning for salt and pepper. And once it is nice and thick to your liking, should take a couple minutes to thicken up, we can get ready to serve. We'll start off with our poke. I let it marinate for about an hour while I did everything else. I'm just going to serve it up into a little ramekin here. It's already got a lot of nice little garnishes on it, but I am going to take one final liberty of adding some finely crushed toasted macadamia nuts. They're a traditional Hawaiian nut, and I love the crunch and light sweetness they add to the dish right at the finish. Alright, for our Loco Moco, I'm going to put down a little steamed rice. I figure you know how to do that. We've done it plenty of times here before. So just some plain white rice goes into the bottom of a bowl. We'll add our patty to that. And now we need to generously dollop that onion gravy over top of our patty. Don't be cheap with it. That rice is just there to soak it all up. And finally, A perfectly fried, sunny side up egg goes right on top. I'm going to garnish it with some tuxedo sesame seeds and of course some thinly sliced green onions. Gotta have my green onions. And there it is. Our Loco Moco is done. You could certainly use other types of fish for this, but tuna is traditional. It's what I'm going with because it's the easiest to find. And it's also my favorite fish in general. You can see it gets stained by that soy sauce, and that toasted sesame flavor is just so smoky and wonderful. Those macadamia nuts really add to that sesame flavor and give it a nice crunch. It's succulent. Let's move on to our egg, which we must pop and give you a little egg pour in there. Man, I love a runny yolk. This is definitely comfort food on a plate, at least for me. Get that nice fatty beef patty. That rhymed. That unctuous egg over top of everything. The rice soaks it all up. Man, that's a great bite. It's like a burger meets Salisbury steak, meets breakfast, meets a rice bowl. One of my favorite things. I'm so glad I experienced it in Hawaii, and I hope you will give yourself the opportunity to experience it now in your own kitchen. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and definitely go make something delicious.